You have a specific way of handling difficult emotions. You don't yell, you don't slam doors, you don't make a scene. When a conversation turns tense, you get quiet. Your voice drops. Your sentences become short, factual, and clean. You might even smile a little, a calm, closed-lipped smile. You say things like, "I understand," or "Let's just move on." You are the picture of composure. When you feel disappointment, a promotion passed over, a plan canceled, a promise broken, you don't sulk, you get pragmatic. You immediately start mapping the alternatives. You focus on logistics. You are efficient in your sadness. When someone hurts you, you don't accuse. You don't show the wound. You become distant, polite but unavailable. You withdraw your attention, your presence, your warmth. You make your absence felt. They have to notice what is no longer there. You call this maturity. You call this strength. You call this being an adult. It is not. It is a sophisticated form of retaliation, and it is costing you the very things you think it's protecting. You feel exhausted by people who need too much from you. Your relationships feel hollow, even the good ones. You have a persistent, low-grade resentment toward anyone who depends on you because their need feels like a demand on a resource you no longer have. You believe you are in control of your emotions. You are not. You have simply perfected a system for delivering them in covert, socially acceptable ways. This goes deeper than a habit. It is the core of how you operate. Part 1. Life domain bleed. This is not just how you argue. This is how you exist. Look at your closest relationship. There is a distance that wasn't there before. It's not a fight. It's an atmosphere. It's in the things you no longer ask for because asking feels dangerous. It's in the shared jokes that have a slight edge now. It's in the way you handle their bad day, with practical solutions, not with shared frustration. You solve instead of connect. The problem gets addressed. The person feels alone. Look at your work. You are competent. You are reliable. You are not a problem. But you hit a ceiling that isn't about skill. It's about presence. You struggle to advocate fiercely for your own ideas because advocacy feels like uncontrolled emotion. You mistake passion for loss of control. So you present data. You make bullet points. Your work is impeccable and forgettable. Ambition requires a certain kind of emotional noise, a willingness to be seen wanting something. You have sterilized that noise out of yourself. Your career is quiet. Look at your body. The constant low-grade fatigue that isn't fixed by sleep. The jaw that's tight in the morning. The inability to truly relax, even when you're alone. Your leisure is scheduled. Your downtime is managed. This is the physical tax of maintaining a permanent state of emotional ceasefire. Your nervous system is not at peace. It is under occupation. Look at your decisions. The paralysis that looks like weighing options. The research spiral before a simple purchase. The inability to choose a restaurant, a movie, a weekend plan without a framework of pros and cons. This is not conscientiousness. This is the gut, the emotional, desiring, wanting self, being systematically excluded from the process. You have made your own desires a committee to be managed. The pattern is not in one place. It is the water you swim in. The method you use to avoid conflict has become the reason you cannot have depth. The system you built for stability is the cause of the stagnation. Part 2 with its mechanism. There is a split. One part of you feels the thing, the anger, the hurt, the need, the disappointment. This part is immediate. It is raw. It is a physical reaction in the chest, the throat, the stomach. Call it the reactor. The other part observes the reactor with cold precision. It sees the emotion rising and moves to neutralize it. It does not feel. It analyzes. It assesses the risk of expression, calculates the social cost, recalls past failures, and executes a protocol. Call it the observer. You believe the observer is the adult. You believe the reactor is the child that must be quieted. This is the error. The observer is not wise. It is a strategist. Its sole function is containment. It does not process emotion. It bypasses it. It translates live feeling into sterile action. Withdrawal, pragmatism, silence, distance. The observer did not appear to help you feel. It appeared to make you safe. Its logic is ancient. If the feeling is not shown, it cannot be used against you. If the need is not voiced, it cannot be rejected. The split is not a problem to solve. It is a survival adaptation that has outlived its context. It worked once. Now it is how you lose yourself. Part 3. Identity implication. This is no longer something you do. It is who you are. You have become a person who is not moved. You present a life of considered choices, but you have disowned the faculty of desire that makes choice meaningful. You have friendships, but you have trained your friends not to expect emotional disclosure. You have a partner, but you have built a relationship where storms are not allowed, so the weather is perpetually gray. Your identity is rooted in this composure. You derive a quiet pride from not being like other people, the ones who are messy, volatile, needy. Your self-image is built on this absence of mess. But this is the implication. What you call your strength is a chronic disconnection. What you call your independence is a preemptive abandonment of everyone else before they can abandon you. What you call your maturity is the strategic avoidance of any emotional situation that could make you look immature. The person you have become is a closed loop. The observer monitors the reactor is silenced, and you are left with the clean, quiet, hollowed-out middle. This is not stability. This is a suspended state. If this goes unexamined, it will become permanent. Not as a phase, but as a settled fact. The pathways will solidify. The reactor will grow fainter, not because the feelings are gone, but because it has stopped reporting to a system that never listens. You will not explode. You will simply continue to condense. You will become denser and quieter until the main feature of your life is an unshakable, inarticulate weight. This is where the work would normally begin. This is where you would expect guidance. There is none offered here. The recognition is the threshold. Part 4. The trap, why it persists. Intelligence cannot solve this. Maturity makes it worse. Every time you have a moment of self-awareness, I am doing it again, that awareness is immediately co-opted. The observer uses that moment to reinforce itself. It says, see, I can even watch myself do this. How mature. The tool for change becomes the instrument of the trap. Your insight becomes a badge of honor for the very mechanism it was meant to soften. Willpower is useless. Deciding to be more open is like handing a prison guard the key and asking him to redesign the prison. He will study the key. He will applaud your initiative. He will then place the key on a high shelf and return to his post. The observer's function is control. Your attempt to exert control over it is just more of its native language. It turns your effort into another form of containment. This pattern persists because it is not a behavior. It is an ecology. It is a self-sustaining system. The reactor feels a raw need. The observer deems it unsafe. It imposes silence. The need, unmet, curdles into resentment. That resentment is then used by the observer as proof that the initial need was dangerous. Look at the disturbance it causes. The resentment justifies the next round of silence. The cycle is closed. It generates its own evidence. Your relationships participate in this. You select people who are comfortable with distance or who are themselves emotionally noisy enough that your silence looks like strength. They play their part. They either respect your walls, which feels like peace, or they batter against them, which feels like exhausting drama. In both cases, your internal position is validated. You are either the mature one or the besieged one. Both roles serve the observer. The trap is elegant. It presents the cost, the loneliness, the stagnation, the exhaustion as the price of virtue. It frames the hollowing out of your life as the necessary burden of being responsible. It recasts suffering as integrity. You could not have outgrown this by trying. Trying is the soil it grows in. Part 5. Threshold. The shift is not from observer to reactor. That is a war you will lose. The shift is in the relationship between them. A third position, not the one who feels and not the one who watches the feeling, but the one who holds the space where both can exist. This is not a role you perform. It is a location you inhabit. Imagine a room. In one corner, the reactor, a child, shaking, angry, hurt, wanting. In the opposite corner, the observer, A sentry, rigid, armed with logic, scanning for threats. You have spent your life choosing a corner, aligning with the sentry, begging the child to be quiet. The threshold is stepping into the middle of the room. It is not siding with either. It is becoming the room itself. The room does not judge the child's noise. It does not obey the sentry's orders. It simply contains them. The pressure changes. The dynamic is no longer a closed circuit between two opposing points. It is held in a wider field. From this middle, a simple fact becomes obvious. The sentry was never protecting you from the world. It was protecting the world from the child. And it was protecting the child from a world it assumed was as hostile as the sentry itself. The shift is spatial, not strategic. You are not finding a better solution. You are standing in a different place. From here, the observer's protocols seem like what they are. Ancient rules for a kingdom that no longer exists. The reactor's eruptions seem like what they are. Messages in a language you were taught to ignore. The work, if it can be called work, is not to fix either one. It is to develop the capacity to stand in the middle without fleeing to a corner. To let the child cry without needing to silence it. To let the sentry issue its alarms without needing to obey them. This capacity is not control. It is tolerance. It is the ability to sustain internal contradiction without rushing to resolve it. Most of your life has been a series of rushed resolutions. This is the end of that rush. Conclusion. It will not feel like a breakthrough. It will feel like a slight reduction in atmospheric pressure. A conversation will begin to tense. You will feel the old pull, the quieting, the retreat into your head, the drafting of calm sentences. But in the space between the feeling and the response, there will be a millisecond of room. You will not choose to do anything different. You will simply find yourself still present. The words that come out might be the same, or they might not. The difference is not in the performance. It is in the internal experience of not having left the room. The fatigue will begin to lift, not because your life is easier, but because you are no longer spending the vast majority of your energy maintaining a ceasefire. You are no longer a full-time diplomat in a civil war you forgot you were fighting. The relationships that are based on your old equilibrium will become strained. They will feel awkward, like a suit that no longer fits. This is not a sign of error, it is a sign of alignment. The space you hold internally will no longer accommodate certain arrangements. This happens quietly. There is no dramatic exit. There is just a gradual inability to participate. You will make a decision from the gut. You will not research it first. You will not weigh the pros and cons. You will feel a preference and you will follow it. Later, the observer will post its analysis. You will listen to its report. You will not argue with it. You will not be governed by it. It will sound for the first time like background noise. This is not an arrival. It is a settling into what was already there. The architecture was complete. You were just living in one small room of it. The child does not need to be healed. The sentry does not need to be dismissed. They are facts of your interior. The middle is also a fact. It has been waiting. The permission is already given. The stability you sought was never in the observer's control. It is in the durability of the room. It can hold all of it. Something is already different. You don't need to know what it is. You just need to not undo it.